Ooh, what's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy. I saw Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. We're going to talk about it because we get Nerdy Nightly, and we thought we'd share it with you. That is right. Welcome back to the channel. This time we are doing our Should You Watch Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. And when I stood up at the end of the movie, the person in front of me, I was there alone. No Clarus today because she doesn't like horror. She would have hated this movie. I didn't love it, but she would have hated it. I stood up and the person in front of me stood up with his wife. He turned around, and he looked a little dour. And he went, "It was good?" And I went, "It was okay." And I think that really sums up the movie. Because I could tell looking at him that, like myself, he was a Resident Evil fan. And there are a lot of people who love this game franchise. And Paul W. Sanderson made some movies that I actually think are guilty pleasures of mine. I enjoy watching them. They're not great. They're insane. But they have style, and they are going for something so different from the video games. That for a long time, as a fan of the video games, as someone who thinks that these video games have defined a lot of what horror video gaming is for a long time, that I always was disappointed that stylistically they weren't like the video games. I have been waiting for Resident Evil to go make a video game that is like the video, or to go make a movie that is like the video games. And I got that. This movie, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, is written and directed by Johannes Roberts. It stars Kaya Scodelario as Claire Redfield, Hannah John Kamen, who was excellent in Ant-Man and the Wasp as Jill Valentine, Robbie Amell as Chris Redfield, Tom Hopper as Albert Wesker, and Evan Yogia? I'm sure I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sorry, dude. As Leon S. Kennedy-ish. Donald Logue, such a good actor. He's in this as Chief Brian Irons. And Neil McDonough is in it as William Birkin. There's a bunch of other people. I just read the Wikipedia page has a spoiler, so don't go on the Wikipedia page if you don't want to get spoiled for the mid-credit scene of the movie. And I want to call it, I think the actors did an admirable job. I think for the most part, especially Kaya Scodelario as Claire Redfield, I think she was actually really good. I don't think there was an actor who showed up and didn't do what was asked of them. But what was asked of them was to deliver a script that was so fundamentally flawed in terms of what story it wanted to tell, how the characters in this world were supposed to tell it, and what the audience was supposed to walk away from it with. And I want to start by saying that this movie is, if you've played the games, this movie is Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2, except they happen at the same time. And so there's a lot going on in this. Like, there's a lot going on in this game. And at times it's to the benefit because the scenes have to move from one to another so quickly to get all of the story across that you don't have to listen to a lot of the dialogue. But the dialogue in this movie is just not storytelling. And that's the biggest problem. There is fun dialogue. There's some really funny lines. There is some well-written character moments here and there. But the dialogue doesn't help tell the story at all. You don't learn about the characters from the way that they are written. You learn about the characters because you walked in having already played these games and you just already know everybody. And as someone who walked in having known this, I kind of wish Clarus had seen it with me, honestly, because I feel like she would be in that position to be like, who is anybody? I think that Hannah John Kamen is really great as Jill Valentine with what she's given, but she just isn't given anything to tell us who Jill Valentine is. You have to know that character to see that Hannah John Kamen is doing a really good job of it, right? And so it was almost impressive to me that the actors were able to play the characters that they were coming in as while reciting dialogue that wasn't helping them do that in any way. Except Leon. Except for Leon. I defended the casting when we got those first photos. There was a lot of crap online about the casting, and I was somewhat excited. I think that I wish I could pronounce his name, Evan Yogia. I'm so sorry. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, and I don't feel great about it. But I think that he's a great actor. Obviously, I think the first thing I ever saw him in was Caprica, probably. But he's been in a lot. I'm looking at his Wikipedia page here. You know, Zombieland Double Tap, it was really good. He's been in a lot of movies, and I've enjoyed him in the past. I think that he could play Leon. I still hold by that. When we got those first photos, I said he could play Leon. He could be great. Does he look like Leon? No. Does he need a haircut? Yeah, they make that joke in the movie, right? Sorry, spoilers for one joke near the beginning, but Leon in this movie is written to be so incompetent, so beyond incompetent, in any way, shape, or form, at literally anything, that I was, like, upset. I was kind of mad. And I was the guy, when they showed those photos on Twitter, I was like, he needs a haircut, but, like, he's a good actor. He can pull this off. He can be the rookie who shows up and, like, steps up when he needs to and just, he's the guy, right? He's supposed to be the accidental guy who ends up being the guy that you need in that moment, right? And instead what we got was an absolute joke, who is treated like a joke the entire movie. So much so that Claire Redfield, it looks like a freaking superhero throughout the film, because they're pairing because of Resident Evil 2. They're the Resident Evil 2 storyline. They are paired together, and then Chris Redfield, Albert Wesker, and Jill Valentine are up at the mansion doing the Resident Evil 1 storyline at the same time. And so Claire and Leon have this relationship throughout the movie, and they bond. You know, they are alone for a lot of it, right? It's just the two of them. And rather than that be this equal pairing, it is Claire Redfield's superhero and dude who should die. So much so that it's kind of a spoiler. I don't want to say it. Whatever. My point is that I don't know why. Maybe they were just so certain they were getting sequels. Like, maybe they were just like, there's no way. We're going to get to see Leon go on a journey over multiple films to be eventually the Leon that people know from the games. Which, like, maybe would have been fine. I don't know that this will get sequels. I don't know that it has a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know that there is going to be, like, this massive outpouring of love for this financially. And to be honest, I don't know that the word of mouth from Resident Evil fans, who are going to be the people who sell this movie, right? Who are going to be the people who are talking to their friends being like, yo, you got to go see it. I don't know that taking Leon the route that they did is going to benefit them in terms of word of mouth. Because if somebody asks me, oh, what do you think of Resident Evil? I will say 3 positive things. There are 2 action sequences in this movie that are phenomenal, that are really cool, that are excellent. Excellent action sequences that I was like, this is fun and I love it. Kai Scodelario is great. Hannah John Kamen is great. Chris Redfield, it's not his name, Robbie Amell is great. Tom Hopper is great but miscast. And like Neil McDonough and Donna Logue as the 2 adults, fantastic. Those are the 3 things that I will say are great, right? The young cast is great, the old cast is great, and there's 2 fight sequences that are great. The problem with that is those 2 fight sequences are both pretty late in the movie. The cast is great, but the script is bad. And the older cast who, usher in this younger cast into the movie are great, but the script is bad. But having said that, there are 2 great action sequences that are maybe worth watching on their own when they got uploaded as like a YouTube video later by whatever company made this. The rest of it's not. It's not good. It's disappointing. It's boring. Somehow this movie is boring, despite the fact that they had like 60 hours worth of gameplay storyline to shove into a 95-minute movie. I think it's short. It's not long, right? Despite that, it still manages to be incredibly boring and slow. And even when there are things happening, especially in the first half of the movie, they don't really have a point. There's a long sequence, a long, like, joking conversation in a police room that is just this, like, long dialogue moment that is about literally nothing. And you think that there's going to be a point to it, and it ends on a punchline, but the punchline isn't funny, and it certainly doesn't justify the massive time that is spent on it. And something like crazy has just happened before, so you're like, ooh, we've got to get into it. And it like follows a moment of intrigue, so you're like, ooh, let's build some suspense, and then it is just, it lands like a thud. And so much of this movie lands like a thud, and as someone who loves this franchise and was like, looking at these photos, being like, ah, yes! They're making the games into a movie. I wish that they had just done something of their own. I wish that they had taken the concept of Resident Evil now, and I understand why Paul W.S. Anderson did it now, and why I enjoy those movies, and why I will go back and watch those movies for the guilty pleasure of them, and I will not go back and watch this. I just won't. I'm not going to sit through this again. Because there's no reason to. I've seen it. I've seen it done better. In what, 90... When did this game come out? When did the first Resident Evil game come out? 96. I saw this story told better in 1996. I don't know, man. I'm disappointed. I'm sad. This one kind of hurt. Kind of hurt. And it shouldn't have. I don't know why you would adapt two games into one movie. It's so much storyline. So much so that, like, they really don't have time for anything, right? And yet they somehow still manage to make everything feel too long. Particularly the backstory. The whole backstory at the orphanage, which runs throughout the whole movie and has no point at the end of the movie. It doesn't lead to anything. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't affect the characters in seemingly any way. It's just, it's a lot of, everything they added is too long and pointless. Everything they wrote is too long and pointless. And they hired a great cast to do it. Like, here's the crazy thing. If you told me that this cast was coming back to make another Resident Evil movie, I'd be like, okay. If you told me the director was writing and directing another Resident Evil movie, I'm out. Because the casting's great. And I will stand by that. The cast is fantastic. And a couple of the action scenes are really good. Robbie Amell as Chris Redfield, really solid, especially in the action sequences. He sold the crap out of it. But this is not a good movie. And so the question of the day, as always, is should you see it? No. Don't wait to see it on some streaming service. Skip this one. Go watch the Paul W.S. No. You know what? Go play the Resident Evil 2 remake. You want to experience the story? You want to have a good time with it? You want to feel, like, thrilled and chilled and all of the stuff that we show up to Resident Evil for? Go play the Resident Evil 2 remake. Go play the remakes. Or not the remakes, the sequels with the Ethan Winter storyline. Go play those games. They're great. Seriously. Both of them. Fantastic. Biohazard, Village, amazing. But skip this. Don't waste your time. I'm sorry if you went out on Wednesday and saw it, and I didn't get my review out early enough because I don't get invited to screenings yet, and I could have saved you. But yeah, that guy, I will never forget that guy standing up and looking to me to tell him that the movie was good because he and I both knew it wasn't. Damn. This one hurt. I was hyped. I was in it to win it. And it wasn't in it to win it. It wasn't great. And on top of everything else, it didn't look great. A lot of the CGI was so bad. And, like, I get it. It's a low-budget movie. Apparently the budget for this movie is $25 million. If you have $25 million, don't don't try and do all the CGI. Because the practical stuff in this, really great. There are fantastic practical effects in this movie. And then there's fire effects that are really bad. They don't look good. That's it. I'm not going to rag on it anymore. I'm disappointed, but, you know. That's life in a world of remakes and reboots where people try and turn really popular, well-told, already kind of perfect things, again, just in a different medium that they aren't made for. I don't know. If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, I understand. Hit the dislike button. Leave me comments down below. If you thought this was the greatest movie ever, and I hope you did. I hope that if you did see this movie, you enjoyed it more than I did. Because if I have a bad experience, I don't want anyone else to have it. That's why I leave the review. But come follow me elsewhere. There's other things you can see me do. You want to watch me play video games? Come over to Twitch, twitch.tv/nerdynightly. I'm over there all the time playing some Pokemon, playing some Days Gone right now. Speaking of well-told zombie stories, I'll be playing that tomorrow or tonight, depending or whenever when you watch this video. It's YouTube. It lives forever. You can also support our nonsense over at fanhouse.app/nerdynightly or patreon.com/nerdynightly. And as always, y'all, my name's Nerdy. Do something nerdy tonight.